I just wanted to get it behind me. So I just focused, got it done, and moved on with life.
Hi, Jaclyn. Thank you so much for the interview today. I met Jaclyn at AI CPA Engage conference in June 2023. She also one of alumni for AI CPA Leadership Academy. So thank you so much for the interview today. First and foremost, can you introduce a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, thanks, Rosie, for having me. It was great to meet you in person. I had seen your name and finally got to meet you while we were there that week in Vegas. And congratulations also on your award, one of your most outstanding CPA awards. I was the winner in 2021, and so it's fantastic. So who am I? I am Jaclyn Badeau. I am a CPA, CGMA. I have my own business, Badeau Consulting, where we specialize in uncomplicating leading humans. So we're an employee engagement and leadership organization. So I'm having fun. We're 3.5 years in, and excited to be here.
Wow. So we would love to know the CPA journey from very beginning when you start in college. Why did you decide to go with accounting?
Oh my goodness, right? There's so many different choices when you're thinking like in high school and then in college. What really drew me to the accounting field was actually in high school. I had a part-time job like many teenagers do, right? You wanted some extra money, I wanted some experience. And I actually started working for a manufacturing company in my local hometown, Maysville, Kentucky. And there I actually worked in the office under our chief financial officer, our CFO. And what I started doing was just getting curious about what does a CFO do? I hadn't heard of what that was. And so by just having that natural curiosity, asking questions, he started giving me accounting type of work, bank reconciliations, things like that. And I just loved it. It kind of was like a big puzzle to me that I could solve and put things together and learn about the business. So I did an accounting course, took an accounting course in my high school. And then when I was ready to go to college, I had declared straight into accounting because of that experience I had at such a young age in high school.
So when you share about that experience, after you take accounting courses, did you enjoy those courses?
Yeah, it kind of reaffirmed of like in high school, I took the general accounting. I'm like, okay, this is making sense. It's like a puzzle, right? I was doing the actual work at my part-time job. It was like a puzzle. And then I went to college and you get into lots of different types of accounting course. So there's so many different things, tax and audit, managerial theory, all kinds of things. And so of course, you like stuff better than the other. But what I loved doing was to learn about how does this fit into a business, like of how it runs and that type of thing. And so I wanted to learn more about real life application of that. So then I got an internship in college in public accounting to just see, hey, is this kind of for me? What's making sense? I was able to do audit and tax in that internship and in full-time. Right after I was finished with my internship, I went into full-time employment there. And so it just confirmed to me of like high school and that part-time work of that basis of understanding businesses and building solving puzzles and putting the pieces together. I saw that through college, did the internship. And so I enjoyed that aspect. And then once you get into like real life, it is different than college courses. You need your college courses for your accounting career. But it was a little different, but I got to like really tap into things I enjoyed. And that's kind of how I started the career in being an accountant. And then of course I went to go get my CPA later.
So do you have any issues with the CPA exam when you get the license?
I would say, and I'll give some advice out to our listeners here. I would say the issues I guess I would have is just it can get overwhelming. I think a lot of people could probably relate to that, right? It's a a lot of information. But here's what I have always talked with people about. You can do it. All you need to do is study and get ready for the exam. You don't have to be a great test taker. I never considered myself a great test taker. So I maybe was kind of nervous, right? And then with all the content, and I was working full time, actually a little more than full time because I was early in my career. I was actually taking MBA courses. I was getting my master's in business at the same time, taking graduate level courses, and I was studying for the CPA exam. So what I did, I came up with a plan. I wanted to take it and get it over with. That was just me, right? Not everyone maybe wants to do that and get so much at once. But I came up with a study plan, and I started studying right after my tax season ended in April. And I took all 4 sections before the end of October. I wanted to knock everything out in 6 months. I passed everything on the first try. But what I had to do was get very focused, right? Had a goal, I got focused, I broke that goal down to where I could achieve steps. I studied. You really do have to study. It's not rocket science. We can all probably pass it, but you've got to study and you got to have your plan, and then it's execution at that point. So it can be overwhelming, but my encouragement to everyone is you can do it. Get a plan that works for you, right? And then start executing it.
I know that you even received an award for the highest scores in multiple sections, right?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, we in that window of testing for the financial, so the FAR exam was that section, and the auditing section. That the FAR was actually the first section I took, and then auditing. And so yeah, those 2 I got the highest, and then I started backing off studying just a little bit because I knew that I had a good plan to knock that out in 6 months. I knew how to study, and I was able to execute that and pass and get a couple highest award recipient kind of things, and for that window. And yeah, it was really rewarding to get that and to accomplish it and get it behind me.
You mentioned about the plan. Can you say very details about like that plan? For example, one typical day in that plan, because you not just always sit for the CPA exam, you also work and then study master degree courses as well.
Yeah. So what I did was I don't like to overcomplicate things, so I just go right to a calendar, right? So I take a review course material. I'll tell you what I use. I use Becker. Find one that works best for you is always going to be my advice to everyone, but I use Becker, and they give you some kind of guidelines into some typical number of weeks, or basically they kind of tell you like number of hours it typically may take an average person. And so what I did was, I was doing my MBA, like you said, I was working full-time in public accounting, and I wanted to knock this out. So I thought about the hours I had in a week and said, all right, it's math at this point, right? You just see how many hours a day you need to study. On the weekends, of course, I studied more. And what I ended up doing was building my schedule to where I took my first exam in May. So I started studying after April 15th, took my first exam in May. At the time, June was a blackout month where we couldn't take an exam. So I just studied that month. Right at the beginning of July, I took a section. I took another section in August. We weren't able to test in September. That was blackout. And then what I wanted to do was study that whole month. And then in October, I took my last section. So that way I gave myself probably like 4-ish weeks for audit, 6 to 7 for that FAR section, that financial section, the tax section, about 6-ish weeks, and BEC. At the time, of course, the CPA Evolution is changing our exams starting on January 1st, 2024. But we had our BEC section. I studied about 3 weeks on that. So really every day, maybe an hour to a couple hours at night. And then the weekends, Saturday and Sunday, pretty much all day studying there. And then a couple days before I took the exam, I would usually take off from work, take some vacation time, or lots of employers give you some time, right, to study for your exam. So I always like really be really heavy in reviewing my material the 2 to 4 days leading up to the exam. My rule was no new information that lasts like handful of days, because you don't want to introduce more and more new concepts. So it's all about review at that point.
That's pretty quick to pass. You just have the window of 4 to 7 weeks for each section. That's pretty quick to pass for each section. I think I took double that time.
And like I said at the beginning, right, it has to work for you. So for me, with the goals that I had, and I was doing so many things at the same time, that worked for me at the time. Would it work today? I don't know. Does it work for everyone? Absolutely not. But for me, of what I wanted to accomplish, I just wanted to get it behind me. So I just focused, got it done, and moved on with life.
I know, it feels so good when you know that you just done with all 4 sections. It's just amazing. You mentioned that when you were part-time in college, and then after you graduate, you had a full-time at the same CPA firm?
Yeah, I did. My internship that I did during my senior year of college, they offered me a full-time opportunity, and I started with them very shortly after that busy season.
So you start with both tax and audit. And I know that after that, you become a manager in audit. How did you know that you like audit more than tax based on your own experience?
Yeah, I think it's a very personal thing, right? Each individual, you kind of like different things. I really like them both. Honestly, I never 100% let go of tax. There's always a few things for, that one partner that you had a good relationship with that you kept on doing, that type of thing. But I did focus in audit after a few years of doing both tax and audit throughout the year. I was able to go to client locations, help them with their business, get to know them on some personal levels, that type of thing. At the same time that I was focusing in audit, I was also leading our training team. So in the audit section, I was leading all of our training there in technical and professional development. I was career counseling people across the firm. I was speaking at different events and outside, having those outside opportunities. So I started doing a lot. I also started getting involved in volunteer work and being part of boards and things a couple years into my career.
But do you think that the personality plays an important role to decide if you should go for tax or you should go for audit?
I think it's a lot of different things. My advice that I give people is to first start with you. What really makes you happy? What drives you? What types of things does this look like? And then at your firm or at your company that you're at, then kind of think about, what path or types of jobs in that company or firm that gives me the most of those things that make me happy, my strengths and those type of things. And for me, what really drove me is I like to have more face-to-face, like with people, with those relationships and building that out and traveling a little bit and talking with people. So at the time, the audit practice was more focused in those things that really make me happy. So that's what I did. I never, again, let go of all the tax stuff because I still enjoyed working with different partners across the firm and on different types of engagements to challenge me. But yeah, I would say for the most part, it came down to me wanting to have more of that client interaction in person, helping them navigate their business through our audit recommendations, etc.
So after you work in public, maybe for 6 years and a half, you move to private. Since you really like client interaction and you like to communicate with clients that much, it seems like public accounting has a better fit for you than in private. So what made you move to private at that time?
Yeah, so when I was kind of like at a fork in my career, right? You hear the expression, there's a fork in the road. Which way are you going to go? So I was still early in my career, but I kind of had moved really fast because I was always willing to take on work and projects and and those type of things. And so I was kind of thinking, I'm at this fork in my career. It's either I'm into public accounting for the long haul, or is there something else that's really, that's driving me, that I really want to learn, that I haven't experienced yet. And so at the time, I wanted to learn more about how a business ran. So I got some of that right through my public accounting work. I did some consulting work also toward the end of my career in public accounting. But when I went into leaving public and going to private, it was actually a publicly traded company on the global stock exchange. So I went to this publicly traded company because they were looking for a different type of CPA. And I would say I'm not your typical CPA. They wanted someone with also some talent management experience and passion. And that is my overall, passion in life, is to help people grow, realize their potential, those type of things. So I wanted to also learn how business operated using their employees as their number one asset. How do the operations work? How do all the different departments, work together to achieve your strategic plans and goals at this global level? And so that's why I went into that organization, because I was able to, you think about it like a client in public accounting, get to learn their operations and help them. I got to do that internally within the business. I spent a lot of time with our marketing team, learning how they thought about TV campaigns and other advertising strategies. I was on the road with the sales team a lot, understanding how they work with dealers and how they put agreements together to present to our customers. So I got so much experience of the operations, learning how a business ran, while still having, CPA type of work and building a high performing team, which that's what I love to do. So I was recruiting and hiring and developing that talent through training and coaching and other areas. So yeah, that's the reason why I shifted in my career at that point, and I was there for several years.
A lot of people left public accounting because of the hours, because of the busy season. Is that one of the reasons why you left as well?
It was not. I know some people, that's why they say they leave and things like that. And for me, that's not necessarily what I was looking for. I probably worked the same, if not more, when I left. I was looking for an area to learn more about, right? So when I'm a coach in my career, I've always been a coach, and what I always give advice of is, what are the 4 or 5 things that make you tick, that truly make you tick? And you should evaluate that every year, right? Because you grow, you change, you evolve. We're humans, right? So at that time, one of those things that really made me tick, I love the fast-paced nature of public accounting. So I found a company that was also fast-paced in nature, which sometimes was some hours. I was looking for a challenge to learn more about business operations at a deeper level, to where I can help drive the business. So I was looking for that, right? So at the time, that's what I was looking for. I say now, I'm probably a little different of what makes me tick now than what it did, 12 years ago when I left public accounting. But yeah, I think it's great for everyone to really look at themselves and go, what really drives me? And then my advice is always, nothing's perfect in life, but my advice is always, how can you find the most of the things that make you happy in your everyday, your current job, your current role, your current company? You could probably find that there. Maybe sometimes no, but that's what life is all about. Doing things that are meaningful to you, that make you happy. And that's how I've always looked at different role changes or career opportunities.
If you can say 3 best things about public accounting, what would you say?
Wow, I haven't thought about that. Obviously, I'm going to speak from my experience. Everyone's experience is different. I'm going to say the top 3 things about public accounting that were great for me is I got to learn a ton. And that's part of my core value. One of my core values is being a lifelong learner. And in public accounting and the roles that I was in, I was able to learn something every single day. I got to work with clients to build relationships with them and help them. I love doing that. And the third thing about public accounting, I was able to really carve my own path, which included a lot of talent management initiatives like leading training, being a career coach, and really thinking about people. And so those three things I learned very early on of what drives me, and I was able to do it in public accounting. Now I've been able to do it in other places too, but public accounting allowed me to do that for sure as well.
So how about the best three things in private then?
Yeah. Well, sometimes it's relatively the same. I would say kind of a little bit different is I did get to learn a lot of things. I got to learn a lot of new things, right? So public accounting was building that accounting knowledge, different industries I specialized in. So, and when I went into a publicly traded company outside of a firm, right, you're in one industry. So, you don't have that multiple industry there. But I got to learn so much about that industry, about every department of how a business runs, how they all are interconnected, and how accounting is really the hub because you see everything in an organization. So it really was coming prevalent to me of how accounting is such a hub in business. So learning that and learning so many different leadership skills. So I was in 4 different roles within that organization. And every time I was asked to maybe consider another role within the company, how I thought about it, it didn't necessarily have to be a promotion. It could be a lateral opportunity. But how I thought about it was what types of skill sets do I want to build? And would this position afford me that opportunity? And so that's how I thought about all my career changes. So learning, that's for a lot of things, but learning is definitely there in my private, in that publicly traded company for sure. The people, I got to build fantastic teams and help influence talent strategies across the world. I love that, right? So I got that global scope where I didn't have the global scope before. And it was all about, people. Again, building these talent management strategies, building high-performing teams, loving watching them grow and thrive and do everything that they're happy. That's what drives me. So, similar things, but very different contexts across the 2 different companies there.
So you stay in private for about almost 9 years. It's almost a decade.
Yeah, very long time.
Stay for the same Stay the same company for different positions, but the same company for a long time. Yeah. So you had a chance to learn so much in depth about the industry. Yeah. And after that, you moved to become a professor.
Yeah.
At Kentucky, at Eastern Kentucky University, right?
So actually, when I started my company, I also did some adjunct professor work at EKU. That's where I graduated, so Eastern Kentucky University. I did adjunct professor work, and I was also an online facilitator. I created 2 courses that were brand new to the College of Business around professional development as well. So I did that as I was also building my business. So I did it at the same time as starting Badeau Consulting. That was a fun experience.
Which courses did you teach at that time, and what services are you providing at your company? Yeah,
so my organization, Badeau Consulting, we provide coaching, so individual coaching and small group coaching. I speak at many different events, including our AICPA Engage that I spoke at this past June. I lead leadership training and facilitate those type of workshops and summits and training sessions across different organizations. And I also consult with companies. A lot of companies need things like, hey, I need someone to help me build a learning and development program. They need to focus on employee engagement. I don't even know where to start. How can you help me? And I have a whole way that I help them think through that. There's some board of directors that need someone to lead strategic planning, for example, with either the board themselves or maybe even management within an organization. I do consulting in that realm as well. So I do things in coaching, speaking, training, and consulting across employee engagement and leadership is kind of the bubble. I talk about how I humanize leadership. It's always about the people for me. So that's what I've been doing since March of 2020, like 2 weeks before the pandemic. And then so during that, 2 weeks, it was okay, we're official and LLC, and then pandemic shut everyone down. But yeah, it has been a great experience. So throughout that, I was also approached to help facilitate some courses at EKU where I graduated. I'm always keep up with people over there and go to classrooms and talk to them about our profession. And so they were looking for some help with different college of business courses. So some accounting courses and some general business courses. So I helped facilitate that. And then they were developing implementing a new curriculum actually, to where every student every year would be required to take a professional development course, which I think is fantastic, to learn professional development, and leadership competencies through your career, through your college journey before you get to your career. And so I helped design the freshman level course and design the sophomore level course. And then I also actually was the adjunct professor for those professional development courses at Eastern. So I did online facilitation and adjunct professor for about a couple years there as I was getting my business going, and then was kind of getting too busy with my business to also kind of help out there. So then completely full-time with my business after that.
Because you work so much on training with people, have you ever missed your work with audit or with tax?
Great question, right? I would say I don't miss it because I'm still in it, in the sense of, for my business, I still do my books, right? I know how to keep up with my financials and understand and analyze that. Now, maybe looking for some help for that. Now I can do it, but is that what I need to be doing, right? So I still do it there, but I also am very involved in our profession. About 50% of my clients are CPAs, accounting, finance professionals. And a lot of my volunteer positions are within our profession, because that's what I'm passionate about, is building our future business leaders, including our future CPAs. So I chair our AI CPA student recruitment committee. I've been involved in our Kentucky State Society, different committees like our accounting careers opportunities and things like that. And I'm currently a board member of the Kentucky State Board of Accountancy. So I'm still very much involved, even though maybe I don't audit like the typical auditor, or I don't go and do taxes, for clients. I'm still very much in it. I keep my CPE, of course, because I maintain my license. And very active in it to promote our profession throughout high school and forward.